All right, let's talk about something I think we've all felt. That moment where you're in a relationship with someone you care about deeply. You're trying your best, but somehow you still feel disconnected. It's so common, and the reason why might actually be way simpler than you think.
I mean, really think about it. Have you ever put all this thought into a surprise? Or you go out of your way to help with something? Or you just say a heartfelt, I love you, and the reaction is kind of meh? It's frustrating, right? You feel like you're shouting your love from the rooftops, but the message just isn't getting delivered?
Well, it turns out the heart of this problem is usually a simple but massive misunderstanding. We naturally show love in the way that we want to receive it. We just assume our partner feels the exact same way, and you guessed it, that's often not the case at all. And this right here is the perfect way to picture it. Imagine you're pouring your heart out in French, but your partner only understands Japanese. You could be saying the most beautiful things in the world, but to them it's just noise. That's exactly what happens emotionally. We're sending out all these signals, but they're on the completely wrong frequency.
So, how in the world do we crack this code? Well, the answer didn't just come from some academic theory. It was actually a discovery that came from watching real couples struggle with this exact problem.
So let's go back to 1992. A counselor named Gary Chapman noticed the same thing happening over and over again in his office. He'd have couples, both of them good people, both insisting they were showing love, yet both of them feeling totally unloved. And he had this light bulb moment. They weren't connecting because they were fundamentally misunderstanding what the other person needed. That's when he figured out there are 5 core emotional languages of love.
Okay, so these 5 languages, they're basically the Rosetta Stone for your relationship. They give us a simple but really powerful way to understand what makes our partners feel seen and cherished. It's all about learning how to translate our love into a language they can actually understand.
First up, we've got words of affirmation. For people who speak this language, words mean absolutely everything. And we're not talking about empty flattery here. We're talking about genuine, spoken appreciation that makes them feel built up and valued.
So this could be something as simple as saying, wow, you handled that really well, or just leaving a little note for them to find, an encouraging text out of the blue, or just hearing I love you often. For this person, those aren't just nice little extras. That is the main way they feel your love.
Next up, quality time. And this one is so much more than just being in the same room. For someone whose language is quality time, the single greatest gift you can give them is your focused, 100% undivided attention. It's about making them feel like they're the center of your universe, even if it's just for a few minutes.
And the biggest thing here, putting your phone down when they're talking. It's making eye contact. It's actually hearing them instead of just waiting for your turn to talk. For them, a 20-minute focused conversation is worth more than 4 hours of sitting on the couch together while you're both scrolling through your phones, quality over quantity.
All right, our third language is acts of service. For people who speak this language, that old saying, actions speak louder than words, is their personal motto. They feel loved when you do things for them, thoughtful things that ease their burdens and just make life a little less hectic.
This is all about the practical stuff. Helping with a chore without being asked, running that errand they've been dreading, even something as simple as filling up their gas tank so they don't have to. To them, these small gestures of service shout I love you way louder than any fancy words could.
Okay, number 4 is receiving gifts. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Oh, that's just materialism. But it's not about that at all. For a person with this love language, a gift is a physical, tangible symbol that you were thinking of them when you weren't together. It's proof of your love. And honestly, the price tag has almost nothing to do with it. It's the thoughtfulness, right? The effort you took to pick something out just for them. That's what makes them feel truly seen and known. And trust me, they remember every single gift because each one is a little monument to a moment they felt loved.
And finally, number 5 is physical touch. And let's be really clear, this language is about so much more than just sex. It's about feeling connected, safe, and loved through simple, everyday physical closeness. You know what's holding hands when you're out for a walk? It's that long, comforting hug the minute you get home, a hand on their back when they're stressed, or just cuddling on the couch watching a movie. For this person, physical touch is the most direct and powerful way to communicate love. Period.
So at this point, you're probably trying to figure out which one of these you are, or which one your partner is. The good news is, figuring it out is actually pretty straightforward. Here's a quick 3-step check. 1. What do you ask for the most?
Are you always asking for help with things, or are you asking for more compliments? 2. Think about what cuts the deepest. Does a harsh, critical word ruin your day? Or does a forgotten birthday feel like a total betrayal? And 3. How do you naturally show love to other people? The way you give love is often a huge clue about how you want to get it.
Okay, now it is super important that we pump the brakes for just a second, because while this whole framework is incredibly useful, it is not a magic fix for everything. Think of it more like a guide, and less like a rigid rulebook. And how you use this idea makes all the difference. At its best, it's a tool to build empathy and start a conversation, but it gets toxic when it's used as a weapon to keep score, you know? Well, I did 2 acts of service for you, so you owe me some quality time. That's not how it works, and it definitely can't be used to paper over deeper problems in a relationship.
And we have to be honest about the criticisms, because they're totally valid. This system can be misused to manipulate people, and it doesn't solve underlying issues. Things like self-control and personal accountability are just as important. It's also worth noting the original model was pretty focused on straight couples. And, maybe most importantly, our needs change. Your primary language might be different when you're stressed than when you're on vacation.
But here is where the story gets really, really interesting. A recent study dug into what actually makes people happy in their relationships, and what they found was fascinating. Even though we all have our preferences, 2 languages were strongly linked to satisfaction for everybody, no matter what their primary language was: words of affirmation and quality time. It seems like some ways of showing love might just be universally powerful.
So, after going through the 5 languages, how to find yours, and even looking at the criticisms and the new data, what's the real lesson here? What should we actually do with all this?
I think it all comes down to this. The goal isn't to become a perfect expert in your partner's language. The real magic is just in the effort. It's about being curious. It's about being willing to learn what makes the person you love feel seen and valued. That's the true act of love right there.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Maybe the most important shift isn't about trying to cram people into one of 5 boxes. What if, instead, we just use this whole idea as a jumping-off point for a much bigger, more important question? And we just focused on asking, what do you need from me in this moment to feel loved?